And good evening, good morning, good day, wherever you are in the world. And thank you once again for joining a slightly later than usual, which was a big surprise to me as well, considering I was here an hour ago and wondering where everybody was. A Home in Italy webinar. Thanks so much for joining me once again. We've got a huge amount of viewing today, which is absolutely fantastic. And tonight, we're catching up with Lexi and Craig, which so many people have been writing about, asking when they're coming back and how things are going. And they're here tonight, and they're going to let you know how things are going in Italy, how their big move went, and all the rest of it. So I want to get on with them as soon as possible. I'm just going to tell you a couple of things. If you're watching this for the first time, you will notice a chat box at the bottom right of your screen. Feel free to ask Lexi and Craig any questions as we go along. Obviously, stick to subject. We're talking about their story tonight. So we're going to be limiting a little bit the questions because we could be sort of getting stuck on certain subjects and really want to find out what's going off in their lives. But we will be taking questions. So please feel free to answer, to ask away. And as you write in the chat box, what you will notice is that it doesn't appear straight away. And that's because it goes to Tony, who is moderating as usual and is not letting any chats through at the moment. So I don't know if we've got a problem with chat, but have a go in that chat box. Start sending a few things. Let us know where you are in the world. Let's make sure that chat box is working, which up to now it looks like it isn't, but there you go. Just have a go. Write in the chat box. Tell us where you are in the world. Let's see if it gets working, and then we can start moving on with tonight's subject. So Tony's either trotted off somewhere or completely disappeared, and it looks like he has actually, because he's no longer on my system. So I bet his internet has conked out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off moderation. Bear with me 1 second. These things always happen. How do I do that? So then I will then answer questions direct while Tony works his way back into the room. So, yeah, go ahead and answer that. If nothing comes up, I'm really sorry about that. We just have to keep moving on. If it's the first time, apologies for that. And if you're watching us on a mobile phone, if there's no chat box that's coming up, then you need to press the bottom right, I think it is, on you'll see at the bottom of your screen, 3 buttons, bottom right for the chat, bottom left, then sort of takes us to any photographs. We've got quite a few of those tonight that we're going to share with you. And then the middle brings you back to me. If you're watching on a tablet, Tony is now back in. So I'm going to, let me just make sure. Bear with me 1 second while I connect to Tony again, because he's going to be, here he is. Bear with me. Let me send a test message to Tony. We've done all these things beforehand, but for some reason something happened. And now I'm going to turn off the chat. Professional this, isn't it? It gets better, believe me. Okay, so here we go. This should do it. Anyway, here we go. So, yeah, have a go in the chat box. Let's see if everything's working. We should be up and running soon. Now Tony is back in the room. I'm guessing that his internet has failed, but there you go. In fact, Tony's sending me a message now. What's he saying? Test, need moderator, is saying. Yeah, so do I, Tony. That's your job. Bear with me 1 second, guys. Here we go. Start moderation, and that's now Tony. Okay, so start using the chat box. Tony's going to start letting a few things through. Let us know where you are in the world. Make sure it's working. As you ask questions, it will disappear for a while until he's checked that it's relevant to tonight's subject, and then let you through. As I say, we're catching up with Lexi and Craig today. We're going to have a little bit of fun, no doubt. A couple of things to let you know before I bring them on, because I want to get them in as soon as possible. Next Thursday, back to the usual time of 6 p.m. UK time, GMT time, so an hour earlier than tonight. And next week is about restorations, which loads of people have been asking for the restoration webinar. We're finally doing it next week. So that should be a great one. And then we've got a new one on the 17th that's called This is Italy. And that's where we tell you a few things about what's different about Italy to potentially where you are. And there's going to be a loads of different subjects. It's going to be quite an interesting one, this. We're going to talk a little bit about what happens with wills, things that you may not realize how it works in Italy compared to where you are, even to things to do with driving here, to do lots of different subjects to what potentially is different between where you are and how things work here in Italy. Even, for instance, if you're buying a house, the kitchen is not necessarily included. So we're going to include loads of different things. So that should be a good one. So that's for the next couple of weeks. Last week we did we had the webinar with Dominic, the FX guy. Now, he has got all of your emails for the people that did want to register with him. Unfortunately, if you remember, his daughter had COVID at the time, which is why I was working from home, and he got COVID, and he's not been very well with it. And I've spoken to him today, and he's promised me that he's going to get in touch with people as soon as possible. So he has been a little bit ill with it, but yeah, he should be back on track now. Okay, let's see who's in. So we've got Michelle. Hi, Dave. So you'll see Michelle in the UK, but hoping to be in Italy soon. Superb. Robert, hi from Jacksonville, Florida. Karen, hi from Denver. Gerard, bonsoir de Paris. Irina, hi Dave from It's Working. That's brilliant. I'm glad you joined us tonight. Zach from Los Angeles. Martin, buongiorno a tutti. Martin and Rhonda from Utah, US. Anna from Naples. Jan and Jeff, I hope you guys are doing well, from Staffordshire. Jeroen from Rotterdam, we say hi again and hi back. Francis, hello from New York. Chris in Kentucky. Trevor in Durham, England. Darren, hi from Naples. Donna, ciao a tutti, buongiorno from cold and sleeting Texas. But it's actually really nice here at the moment. Today was a beautiful day. Great all round. So we've been at the notary, people signing for houses, which is always great. Hi from Ontario, Canada. That's Peter. Doug, hi from San Francisco. Lloyd from the Wales. Sarah, hello everyone. Mark and Sarah from North Carolina. Helen, buonasera from sunny Florida. Cynthia and Antonio from Cambridge. Ali, hi again from Notts. Deanne, hi from Thunder Bay. Can't wait to see you guys as well soon. Adina, hello from Senegalia. Jackie, I missed last week. What is the registration for? Too late to register. Don't worry, Jackie. I'm going to be putting the video on Saturday and we'll be sending emails out. Carol from Miami. Denise Chow from New Mexico. Beth from Pennsylvania, USA. That's fantastic. We've got more people coming through. Patrizia, hi from Italy. So the chat box is obviously working, which is superb. Quick note before we start talking. We did mention a couple of weeks ago about doing where Home in Italy is going to be hosting some tours and we're going to be doing this in October. This is going to give you some publicity on this some details about this, where we are hoping to do what we used to do before, invite you over to Italy. We're going to have seminars over here. Everybody's staying together in a hotel. Going to take you around to see properties, going to see the areas and things like that. They're usually fantastic. We used to run these 2 or 3 times a year, or I used to run 2 or 3 times a year. Obviously, with COVID, we've not been able to do it, but we're going to do one. We're going to do it this time. I was tempted to do it for June, but I didn't want to risk anything. So I think by October, the world should hopefully be back to as near as normal as possible. So that's going to happen. I'm going to send you details on that, and that's going to be great because I'm hoping that loads of you come over. Jeroen saying we will arrive in Cundial from the 8th of October. Well, that was round about the time I'm thinking, Jeroen, so we may be able to tie it all in. What I'm hoping for is a good amount of you all coming out here. Let's all stay in one hotel, and we'll like I said, we'll have seminars, we'll see properties, do everything. Everybody can meet each other. It should be a fantastic time. So watch out for the emails when I send you that. Okay, let's get on with things. I told Craig and Lexy we'd have them on pretty quick. So let's just, for those of you who didn't meet them before, I'm going to give you a quick recap, because what tends to happen, if we do a recap while they're on here, then we ask loads of questions about things we've already covered, and obviously we don't want to do that. So Craig and Lexy came with me last June. They thankfully, they joined our webinars just like that you guys are doing. And they used our service for accompanied viewings, which means that you don't just see the properties on a Home in Italy website. They wanted me to organise their viewings with other agents and with that sort of thing. We found them the house while they were here. They were here for a couple of weeks, I think it was. Found them the house. They absolutely loved it. I'm going to show you a few pictures of when they were here the first time. So this is Craig cooking the famous arrosticini of Abruzzo. This is last year. This is in Campo Imperatore. He was up there doing that. And here they are again, enjoying those arrosticinis. So we had a great time, found them their house. And this was the view from the house that they fell in love with. They put an offer in for the house, and this was the photograph they sent me at the moment that they found out that the offer was accepted. So all the excitement happened there. They then wanted to apply for their visa, which they did through the Houston office in Texas. And we were all expecting the long haul. We thought that it would, bear in mind, they came here June. So we sort of planned, hoping they may get something by September, October time. They really wanted to be in by Christmas. They put their everything in for their visa, and it flew through. It was here in no time at all. If I remember rightly, Craig will probably they'll tell you, but I think it was a couple of weeks, all done and dusted, and all of a sudden it was, let's go. We're doing this. So December they made the move. So we're going to go rewind a little bit in time. They're going to tell us what went off, and I'm going to bring them in now. If you bear with me 1 second. No doubt they're going to be slightly giddy, as Lexi usually is, and they're drinking wine. I'll just have that noted. I was going to, but I didn't get downstairs in time to get a glass before we kick this off. So here they come. I'm just going to turn their camera off, and we'll say hello to Lexi and Craig. Bear with me. And here they are.
Hello.
Glasses of wine in hand.
Multiple channel Abruzzo.
Of course, it has to be, doesn't it? It must be. Fantastic. So Jenna was saying, can't wait to hear their story. So let's jump into it straight away. For those of you who don't know, obviously Lexi and Craig, we've always said that before. Where was it where you lived in the US?
We lived in Oklahoma City. I'm originally from Ohio, up in the Northeast, but moved to Oklahoma City about 15 years ago, and Craig's been in Oklahoma his whole life.
Okay, so, and then I've gone through quickly. We did the quick roundup of what happened. So I'm going to say we've gone now from the offer. Your visa was done incredible. I can't remember how long it took. From the documents going in, how long was it before they told you everything was done?
It was either 6 or 8 days. I think it was 6, actually. It went at warp speed. And some of it was probably due to COVID, in the sense that normally when you would make an application for a visa, you'd actually have to travel for an interview and that kind of thing. Well, the office was closed to the public, if you will, down in Houston. So I think as soon as they got our application, they reviewed it, we lined everything out, answered all the questions, checked all the boxes, put a nice package together, and they were approved almost immediately. In fact, the only real delay was her visa got lost in the U.S. Postal Service on the way back. So
yeah, I remember. that took longer to get to you, didn't it? Than the
it was about 2 days. So it was almost unheard of. I think how quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the phone call that you made when we were expecting a bit of a wait, weren't we, for everything? I know the owners needed time to move out. You guys need a little bit of time as well. And we just thought, well, the visa is going to give us all that time, and then you rang and said, we're ready. Let's do it. So from them, I don't want any tears, Lexi, because I want to show you this photograph, because I just want you to tell us a little bit about, obviously, when it came to the big move, Craig had already retired, so he was used to the easy life. So this is a photograph that you put on from your work colleagues, I think it is.
Yeah.
Sorry to spring this one up on you, but what happened? You basically, that was it. You just sent them a message and say, "We're off."
Yeah, kind of. I was running a nonprofit, and so I had to call our board chair, my boss, and say, "Well, we're moving to Italy," and she thought I was joking, and I said, "No, that's really serious. We are," but I had to wait until we got approved from the consulate, and so everything was very slow until it happened, and then it was very quick, because once they approve you, they stamp it to start the day after the day you show that you bought your tickets for, so that your clock already starts ticking. So when we thought we'd get it approved in 2 to 3 months, and it got approved in 6 or 7 days, that was we have to sell our house and pack up everything. And I was just slowly going through each room and thinking, we'll send a 40-foot container. And then it was down to a 20-foot container. and we ended up with 3 like wooden boxes that we're still waiting on. That someone here is from Rotterdam, and maybe you can go to the shipping yard and check on our crates because we still
I think Jerome may be that way on, I think. So we'll ask him if he'll just pop to Rotterdam and see how his stuff's going.
Perfect. There's a bottle of wine in it for you.
So one thing that we haven't really spoke about, but I saw you post on Facebook that something happened to one of your beloved cats, if I remember, because you've got 2 cats that you brought with you. Just tell us about that, because that looked like a huge panic on Facebook. When I saw the story, I thought, I won't contact her for a while. Things looked a bit serious. What happened?
Yeah.
Well, long story short, there's a lot of chaos going on around the house, as you can imagine, as we were packing things up and getting ready to close in our house back in the U.S. And in fact, we were going to be more or less homeless for about 3 weeks, so we were going to move into my mother's house. And right before we packed up the cats to take them to Mom's place, one of the cats disappeared. And it took maybe 2.5 days to finally find him. He apparently had snuck out in the garage and just hid under the workbench. I think he was going to sit there indefinitely until he starved to death or something. So I finally discovered him.
Were you worried that the cat was trapped somewhere?
Yes.
In the walls.
In the wall. Yes. Well, 2 things that Craig didn't tell you. He goes to the very worst place all of the time. So the cats are indoor cats. They have their claws, but they've never been outside. So he assumed the cat is stuck in the wall and it is going to die and starve to death. So, but it's COVID and we can't get anyone to come to our house. And we had to buy one of these like heat sensor, not UV. What's the
infrared?
Like an infrared sensor machine. And they were sold out everywhere. So then I had an overnight one and I thought I could return it. And then it was $400 that I couldn't return. So if anyone needs to borrow our little UV sensor to find wild animals, you're welcome to. But we went through every wall in the house and we're freaking out. And we don't have children. Our children are these crazy, ridiculous cats.
Well, to be fair, the attic door was open and we have huge gaps in the wall up in the attic. So they were not supposed to be up there to begin with. I thought one of them was up there. Turns out he was actually out in the garage hiding. So anyway, long story short, it was a distraction that we really didn't need right there at the end as we're finally getting the rest of the house cleaned out and ready for closing and whatnot. But we found him and all was good. And both of them made the trip over here. I think
we'll move to their trip in a second because there's another funny story at the airport about your cats. But before we do that, obviously you then went to New York, was it? You went for a few days or something?
Yeah, New York City. So we were homeless for 3 weeks before we could get into the house in Italy, and we had to get out of our house in Oklahoma because those people wanted to. So we stayed with his mom, but we knew we'd drive her crazy for 3 weeks. So we went for a week, then went and saw a whole bunch of shows in New York City for a week, and then had our last American Thanksgiving, and then left like 2 or 3 days after Thanksgiving.
So you had a good time there. And then the last photograph we got, just to let you know, Jerwin's saying that we'll do tomorrow. So Jerwin is near to Rotterdam, so he's going to check if your stuff's there tomorrow.
Right. Great. They're pink and glittery, the boxes. You won't be able to miss them.
That's surprising. And Jackie's saying, I hope you talk about the pets, how the pets survived the plane ride. We're going to do that in a second, Jackie. So the last photograph that appeared on your Facebook was this one. As you're moving out, and I must admit, Lexi, I've got to say this, that, and I don't know if people can see as I'm not going to zoom into, I'm not going to be too unkind. You've got a smile as you always do, but you're looking a little bit stressed here.
No, we were really stressed.
Yeah,
really stressed.
That is a little bit of a fake smile there.
Yeah. The whole last month and the first couple of weeks here was all fake smile, but this is real smile, and it's not even wine induced.
Well, it's a little bit of that, but yeah. So everything's booked. How did you get this? There's 2 cats, yeah. So how did you get them over? What did you have to do, and how did you actually get them here?
It's an onerous process. We have to have a health certificate in order to bring pets into Italy, and these would be just domestic pets. And you have a 10-day window on that particular certificate. If it's 11 days, it's expired, it's no good. So I actually had to put a lot of time and effort into making sure that that was taken care of. You have to have a veterinarian that's certified to fill out the documentation. Then in the United States, it has to go upstream to a USDA official to then sign off on it. They have to have a 15-digit chip implanted and a rabies shot either on that day or sometime thereafter. So there are a whole lot of things to go through, stack of papers and everything to follow the cats. So that's easier to bring kids over than it is cats, as it turns out, for various reasons, as it turns out. So anyway, and we had the special cat carriers, and they were our carry-on luggage. They were not going in the cargo hold. So I basically just had a backpack and a cat carrier, and she had the same thing. So one cat was great. He was just petrified. The one that hid under the workbench, he was. Those are not our cats.
That's not the cats. I thought that was the cats. I was looking for another one. Oh, hang on a sec. Let me just show the picture while you're talking. Sorry. Here they are. These are your.
Those are our cats.
Yes, and that's our very first piece of furniture, because we literally had no chairs. We had the owners left us 2 tables, but there was nothing to sit on. And so we did buy 2 folding chairs from IKEA, and then this was our first big fancy Italian purchase. And then as soon as we got it in, the cats took over. Like, we don't even have any chairs, and they're sitting on it.
And the name of the cats, because no doubt there's a few cat lovers there. So the name of them?
Yeah, Minnie is the one that's laying down, and then Banksy, like the artist, is the one half sitting up.
Superb. So on the aeroplane then, so you've got them in these cat boxes. How did they? How many hours trip was it over?
By the time you count everything up, layovers and stuff, probably 22, 24 hours from the time we got to the airport in Oklahoma City until the time we landed here, or at least in Rome. And the cat that hung out under the workbench that for 2 days and didn't move, he was not a problem. He was completely quiet. The other cat, that would be Minnie, just clawed the inside of her cage. She was a complete mess. I had to medicate her and kind of basically ran out of medication towards the end of the trip. But going through customs, just expecting, like when we came in June, we had all the COVID tests we had to do. We had it was just really almost it was a hassle, to be perfectly honest. And I was thinking that was going to happen this time around. Not a problem. We walk right through, not a problem. We go through a chat with the customs agent for a couple minutes. Turns out the cat cages, you really couldn't tell there were cats in them. They were quiet at the time. So we just, slid right through, and we're actually literally on our way out the door of the airport into the parking garage.
This is in Rome, yeah? This is in Rome.
And see, I'm already saying C, go figure. And so anyway, Lexi's in front of me. She has all the cat documentation. The sliding doors open. She walks out. They close behind her. So I'm almost ready to hit the door, and all of a sudden, Minnie has to let out this loud meow. It just kind of echoed through the airport. Immediately, somebody starts running up to me, taps me on the shoulder and said, "Back this way." And I had to then take the cat back through the animal control portion of it. I don't have my papers. She can't get back in the airport. And I'm thinking, we just about made it through with no problems, and here we are. But long story short on that, the agent there, he was really kind of curious about this particular breed of cats. I don't think he could understand in a country full of cats why you would bring 2 more. But once I showed him to him, he seemed to be okay with it. And we were on our way in about 20 minutes. So all in all, that process went well. But there were just a lot of hoops to jump through to bring dogs or cats or other animals. And then you really got to pay attention to the rules and talk with your local veterinarian, because there's a lot behind it.
I think it's fantastic that the cat waited by the last second just to let the guards know, that.
She's passive aggressive. She really is.
Yeah. So just to let people know, if anybody's watching a recording of this, somebody may be wondering why Lexi gets suddenly closer to the screen. It's because you're answering people's messages. So just do it, because when we do it, when this goes on YouTube, they don't see the chat box, so they'll just sort of see you going like this, and then your hands sort of moving. And there must be something wrong with that. But no, Lexi's
There
perfectly
is.
fine.
But thank you for that.
So Lloyd is just saying, what type of visa did you have to get to be able to move to permanently? So you got the elective visa residency. That's what you went for. So and that all went as smooth as it could do. So you arrived in Italy. Obviously, I met you in our meeting place, and then it was down to the business of actually signing for the house. So all of a sudden, you were here. Craig, you'd said a few times on the phone that things seemed to be going smooth. Everything, you weren't hearing any noises from us. Everything was going through as it should go. How did you feel at that time? Because some people get a little bit nervous when obviously we try and stay in touch with people, but there genuinely isn't anything to say until you get here. How were you feeling at that time? Were you feeling nervous? I know every time we spoke, you seemed to be okay, but how were you feeling about the whole thing?
I think at that point, just in terms of, and I'll use the term closing, the meeting with the notary and everything coming together. In the U.S., we call that a closing. And I really felt like everything was lined up, that there weren't any problems. I mean, you taking care of everything as far as, dealing with the sellers and the seller's agent and whatnot, and with the notary. And so I was actually, I was real confident that it was going to go fairly smoothly. I think the bigger trick was just surviving the trip over here and and dealing with that.
So all of that pretty much took over the worry about the actual buying the house. Then that sort of went second then almost.
I just kind of figure, okay, we're exhausted from the trip, but everything's going to be fine, and we'll close on Friday, and we did. I mean, so I think that part went really smoothly.
And how do you feel? I'm going to show a few photographs now of inside the notary's office. I love this next photograph. If a face could say 1,000 things.
I haven't seen these yet.
Did I not send them to you? No, I must send them. So this obviously this was a new system to you. I mean, we cover things about inside the notary's office on webinar, so I won't go too deep into it. But how did you feel about this process? Obviously, that's the old owner of the house. How did you feel about the notary compared to systems that you used to at closing in the US and in the UK as well? How did you feel about the whole thing? Were you surprised how it went, or?
A couple of things. First of all, I was just as enthusiastic as Lexi, but she always just displays it so much more than I do. Second of all, it was an interesting process. I mean, coming together in the United States, and most states, probably all states, you do a closing. I mean, the real estate agents have kind of worked things through. You have your closing agent. It's pretty much a done deal. You just sign a bunch of documents. The parties aren't even necessarily there for it. This process was interesting in one respect, in that as you're putting this together before the notary, I didn't realize that you're actually editing what amounts to the deed there live. So you kind of have an outline. Both parties go back and forth. Your representatives, their representatives, talk about the language that's going into the actual document, and then it's finalized, and it's all done, with computers, and it's projected up on a screen. And of course, we had somebody there to interpret for us. So I thought it was just kind of a dynamic live process.
Yes.
I had some inkling, how it was going to work, but to actually sit down and do it, to me as an attorney, it's kind of fascinating to see how it works. I mean, at the end of the day, I think you still have people that have the same roles, checking records and whatnot, but it's just you have different players with different titles and whatnot, and it was an interesting experience. It really was.
I don't have the documents in front of me. I think it was around 20 pages. But before the meeting with the notary, we met with one of Dave's coworkers, and she translated and read the whole thing to us so we could look at it and ask questions. But then when we were actually in the office with the notary, they read every word for 20 pages, but they had it projected on a big giant screen, and then they would not make changes like, oh, you don't own this part anymore, but just clarifying where the land was, or switching around words. Nothing that changed the content.
It's usually sort
but
of little phrases or things like that, changing how something's phrased, or maybe taking a phrase out that's no longer needed. So yeah. See, I mean, you were fairly relaxing, considering. I don't know if you were riding on a cloud at that point, because I mean, when I met you the first night, I mean, you both looked understandably shattered the first day that I saw you, and I know it was freezing as well, wasn't it, when you arrived? And obviously the house was freezing as well, so everything was going. At one point, it's obviously for those first few days, it was a little bit difficult, wasn't it, for you?
No, I mean, you have to think. I mean, even if you're moving within states and just getting set up, but then not being able to communicate very well and needing Wi-Fi and needing to communicate with people, and then knowing everyone that we know is 8 hours time difference, but then trying to figure out the heat. And the prior owners had left a lot of things, but the room where we just happened to set up as our bedroom, there were no light fixtures. So we didn't realize that as we're getting the bed and everything set up, and then it goes dark and you can't see anything, but you can't do anything because there's not a 24-hour Walmart to go. So we had a tiny little flashlight that we used until we, then found a lamp, and then just got settled in. So
and with the heat and when we arrived, we had pretty much wintry conditions here, and this house is really neat. It has floor heating systems all throughout, which is just wonderful. The only problem with it is when it's been shut down, it takes about 2 or 3 days to heat up. So that's kind of what we were up against. It started to come online, and that's probably why we looked a lot happier on Friday. It was in part because we were closing in the house, and two, the heat was finally on.
And I know somebody did ask what happened with the cats when you came over, but luckily we managed to agree with the owners that you could move in before you can move in a couple of nights. But things on that side worked out pretty well, didn't they? We managed to time everything just right, and the owners thankfully said you could stay there 2 nights before, was it, or a night before? I can't remember, but on that side, things seemed to go quite well, didn't they? Which that took some of the stress out of things. But I must admit, it's always, I've got to say that it is our worst nightmare when people say, when we move there or when we come to sign, we want to go straight into the house, because it is the smallest things, like, oh, there's no bulbs here, or there's no, and all of a sudden, it can become not a problem, but it's a bit of stress, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I didn't look. There's not a Hampton Inn and a Hilton Garden Inn at the entrance to Civatella. So I don't know the hotel situations, but yes, all things being equal, I would suggest taking a day or two, and if that's in Rome or wherever that is. But we had the cats, and we were trying to get situated, and we caused extra stress on ourselves than we needed to. But someone had asked how we got from Rome to Abruzzo, and we rented a car. And because you can't buy a car in Italy until you have your identity card and your permission to stay and all of that, so you can get a long-term lease. If you're in a heavily populated area and you don't need a car, that's fine. But we needed a car, so we just rented it from Rome. But there's an office closer here that we can then return the car here.
So before we go on to a couple of the other bits, I'm going to catch up on a couple of questions. What I do remember is when I say, oh, you've never been a stress to us at all, either of you. You've both been absolutely fantastic. But we could sense that obviously you were tired, everything. And I remember saying to you not so long ago that if you think about what you've done, people don't stop to realize, what you've done. And you've moved the other side of the world. You brought 2 cats with you. I don't have to keep saying that you moved to a country you don't speak the language. And, obviously, but at one point I remember thinking, because when we moved out as well, I remember my wife she was, and she's Italian, but she was very, stressed with everything. But I remember then you sent me a photograph of the view from the balcony. And you said, and now we remember, what we've come, why we've come here. How did it feel again coming back? Obviously it's slightly different time of year and the rest of it. What were you feeling at this point when you took this photograph from your balcony?
I think it's been absolutely amazing. And when we arrived, it seems like the leaves on the trees were really changing colors and start to fall off. I mean, It seems like winter starts here just a little later than what we were used to back in Oklahoma. Every time we go out, even just a simple trip out to get a bite to eat or to go to the hardware store, and just driving along and seeing this magnificent scenery and driving these incredible roads, and I'm just amazed by it all. And it's a constant reminder, or one of the many reminders of why we did this and why we made that leap of faith, if you will, moving from our country lives.
And that doesn't fade. I mean, just so everybody knows, I live sort of 10, 15 minutes from you guys. And that feeling, doesn't fade. It seems, even though you look at the same view, but I think some of the views around here and most of Abruzzo are so incredible that you can't get used to them, can you? It's just something you just think, oh my God, Okay, so I'm going to run through a few questions because a few people are asking things before we move on to the next part. Julia's saying, describe a daily routine. What do you do in the morning, afternoon, evening, and hobbies? That's a little bit of a long question, but I'll answer some of that. So daily routine: morning, drink; afternoon, drink; evening, drink; hobbies. Drinking, is that right?
I don't usually drink at breakfast,
Okay.
but yes, we eat out once a day. We're still waiting on all of our stuff in the kitchen. I mean, we do have a kitchen in our house, and there's a stove and an oven and we bought a microwave, but we don't have all of our stuff yet. And frankly, we came here to experience Abruzzo, so we usually go out to lunch or dinner. And then when we go out, we usually get a half a liter of red wine.
Only half?
Well, at lunch, yeah. But it's
okay.
like $2 or maybe €2, maybe €3, but it's usually €2. So we'll have 2 glasses of wine with lunch, and then sometimes the Primi and Secondi, and then we are stuffed silly, so then we just have a really light dinner or vice versa. We have a map of Abruzzo, and depending on how late or early we get up, I kind of gauge, is he cranky, is he in a good mood, like, do you want to drive a half an hour or do you want to drive an hour, and just kind of draw the circle on the map and pick somewhere. And then I get in on Facebook groups, or I get on Google Maps and find a little winery or a restaurant or even a hardware store or a grocery store, whatever that is, in these just tiny little towns, and explore some old churches or, just the amazing scenery. And then I have to keep notes of all of it, so I remember to go back. But we do that a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. She goes, well, am I cranky or not? Usually I get up before her. And so I get up, I fix 1 or 2 cappuccinos for myself. I've got my little Italian workbook, and I'll work on that for an hour or 2. And if I'm doing well, then I'm in a great mood. It's not little. It's
it's his giant. He's back in school again.
And if I'm having a frustrating day, then I'm kind of cranky, and so that sort of determines, I think, where we go.
I've got to say though, Craig, I mean, I know we know each other reasonably well now, and hopefully we'll get to know each other a lot better. You seem completely different now. I mean, Lex is always mad, even though I've not known either of you very long. But Craig, you seem so different. It's unbelievable. You seem completely different to when we met last June, and you've only been here a month, just over a month, 6 weeks.
Yeah,
do you feel a lot better? Do both of you feel a lot better for being here? I mean, obviously it's all new, so you're gonna be excited. But do you genuinely feel like this was the right thing? You've done the right thing.
Oh, absolutely. On some level, and we're talking about just the scenery, going out, all the amazing things that we've been doing. My blood pressure has just dropped dramatically. And it's not just the scenery. It's not just any one thing. I think it's just the mindset here. I use the phrase piano, just as far as the pace is concerned. And I can feel it and I can sense it. And, I go out and obviously it's frustrating not having a command of the language. I can throw a few verbs and nouns out and sometimes kind of communicate. And if not, there's always Google Translate. But everybody I've encountered here has been really nice, understanding. They'll work with me, and so that's even been kind of that was a fear that I had early on that is now dissipating, and I will get better at it. But I think just holistically, it's just relaxing here. It's for real. This isn't a tourist destination here in Abruzzo, although it ought to be. It's kind of probably the best well-kept secret in Italy, to tell you the truth. But I just feel like my life is just it's mellowed out. I feel great. So yeah, I think I have changed compared to last June.
Right. It's good. It's good to hear. It's it's great to see a difference in somebody for the best, considering, obviously a little bit nervous in the beginning, quite rightly so, but yeah, it's brilliant. It's a big thing for us when people, it's great when people buy and move out here and then start to love the area that I've been trying to sell to them during the time they were here. It's great because you suddenly realize, I know I'm not I might be a decent salesman, but I'm not, it's all genuine stuff, and then when you're coming and you're actually finding things yourself, it's just great to see. So yeah, good stuff. Okay, so a few people are asking about, Kimberly said, were you surprised by the fees and closing costs? I live in Oklahoma right now and don't know how different it is from our process here. Obviously, we're not going to talk about the entire process because we do that on other webinars. But in terms of the fees and closing costs, obviously, I can't remember those now. We're not going to go through the figures. But did you suddenly think, oh my God, everything that's happening is costing us a fortune, or how? What did you think about that?
It's probably apples and oranges, and maybe I need to go back and look at the fees and closing costs and everything we had to deal with when we sold our house in Oklahoma. I thought they were entirely reasonable, to tell you the truth. I mean, I don't have the figures in front of me or anything like that, but I didn't think they were onerous at all. I mean, I really didn't. And I think too, you have to look at the fact that I think real estate here is still an incredible value on top of it. And certainly the cost of living here is an incredible value. So the fees and closing costs and other things that we had, I don't think they didn't stand out to me.
I don't remember.
No.
Yeah, in one of your emails, you kind of break down. I mean, we just had the total amount, but you break down like how much goes to the geometra and the notary and all of that. But no, it was comparable or cheaper than what we were expecting.
Well, considering in this conversation up to now, you haven't brought up the fact that was expensive. The only thing you mentioned about price is how much half a litre of wine is. So it can't have been that important. So, so there you go. Okay, explain this photograph.
Oh, yeah. So funny thing, after we had spent 24 hours with the cats on the plane, and we didn't save one of the cats, neither of them are declawed. One of them was so worked up, even though we gave her some medicine to calm her down, she ripped out 3 of her her nails at the root, and they were like bloody and in the bottom of the cat carrier. So then we get to the house, and there's 5 cats outside to welcome us. So, that was a little fun because 4 of them were gray, just like our 2 cats that are gray. But we also have a lot of land and know that maybe there's mice or bugs or other little things that Craig went to get Banksy. That was the escape artist. But he now has a collar with a little bell on, so we can hear them all the time. And they like to sit out in the glass room right behind us, and they have the picture of all of the sun and all the landscape, and just take it all in.
Superb. So Kimberly's asked quite a good question here, and this is one that I'm a believer in just going for it. Some people aren't, but Kimberly said, did you rent to experience living in Italy prior to deciding to buy and relocate?
Now we jumped into the deep end.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, I was still working. So if you're working in the U.S., you know that you don't really get a whole lot of time, a couple of weeks vacation. Craig was already retired. So it took all of our vacation time to come over here. We were here for about 10 or 11 days, and we stayed in Abruzzo the whole time. And Dave showed us some houses up in northern Abruzzo, and then here where we ended up for a couple different days. And then we just kind of drove around, and we really spent, I know it can't take the place of actually coming here and experiencing it, but during COVID, just doing lots of research and watching videos, watching Italian movies, reading books, just doing whatever we could. And then when we came in June, we told all of our friends we were just going for a trip, but we really were going to see if we could feel comfortable and if we could live here. And we did.
I mean, I say quite often, I mean, a lot of people say on Facebook, it always comes up where people say, no, you must rent. It's usually people that live here that say that because they don't want anybody else to come. So they tend to say, no, you should rent, you should do this. I'm a strong believer, and we do the same when we come here. You fall in love with something. That's it, isn't it? It's not that you need convince. Yes, it's going to be different. Of course it is. It's Italy compared to America, but that's what you wanted, isn't it? You wanted to change your lives.
Well, and for the elective residence visa, and we didn't have a student visa or a work visa, so I can only speak to that, but you have to show that you either own a home here or have at least a 1-year lease agreement. So you can't just get an Airbnb or a hotel for a month just to try it out. They won't approve you. Now you can do that for, I think, 90 days and then go back. But if you want to come and live here on a visa, you and then we thought, well, there weren't a ton of places that were up for rent, or a lot of things I read where you had to have a 3-year rental. Well, if I'm going to rent somewhere for 3 years, I may as well find the place I want and move in and buy it.
And to be fair, when you both walked into your house, that look, there's that you can't replace that. It was just there, wasn't it? We love it, and that's it. Yeah. Julia's asked a good question. Who did you use to ship or move your belongings? Any advice for moving large items?
Yes. So we ended up going with Rainier. I believe they're out of Washington State, or at least the guy that we spoke with was out of Washington State. Check in with me in a month or two because we don't have our items yet. or Jerome,
Jerome, I think if that's so. Yeah, he's going to check on it.
Yeah. And let us know.
But they seemed very professional at the time.
they did. We kind of went round and round, and in the beginning we were thinking of a 40-foot container. And prior to COVID, the cost to ship a 40-foot container was around $20,000. Well, I mean, 40 feet is a ton of stuff, and you're moving 5,000 miles. But then with all of the shipping shortages and docks and everything, to ship that much was going to be about $50,000. And we thought, we like our furniture, but we can buy everything brand new for that. So we ended up with 3 7x7 wooden crates. And maybe as COVID goes away or as they get transportation figured out, maybe the costs will go back down. But the other part of that is Italy makes beautiful, amazing leather Italian furniture. And the items that we had in Oklahoma wouldn't fit in with the house anyways. And it's a new, fresh start. So we sold almost everything. And I did go with sendmybags.com, which was great. We had these wooden boxes. They could be no more than 60 pounds, and they each shipped for about $150. Now you can't put furniture in that, but household items, clothing, used stuff. So we had 7 of those, and those arrived within a week. And we even had a mix up with our address. Our house is known by about 3 different addresses. And so even with that hiccup and trying to correct that with them with DHL and FedEx, we saw those items within a week. So that got us going. Now we're just waiting for our king size American bed and those items.
Well, Jeremy's just written again that he's on it, so he must be he's heading to the docks for an update before we finish this. Edna,
there's 2 bottles of wine for him.
Yeah, Edna, who I know extremely very well. She's saying, sadly, I'm still waiting on my elective visa. I was wondering if now you are getting much better with the language since living there.
We are better than we were, but again, we were like maybe a 1-year-old child, and maybe we're about a 1st grade. I mean, frankly, when we got on the plane and we saw these little like kindergarten 5-year-old kids, and Craig's like, I can understand them. But then the parents walk by, because we're first graders. Oh.
First graders giving us too much credit. We're not anywhere near first grade.
But to be fair, you've been here such a short amount of time, and it's great that you're even when we have conversations, you joke and you'll say things in Italian. That's what it's all about. It takes a little bit of time, but it's good fun, isn't it? Learning. So, and the other good thing to remember as well, what you tend to find is the more you drink, the better your Italian, or you think that your Italian is coming along much better. So that could be a little bit embarrassing. So we're going to briefly talk, because there's a funny story from Rome at Christmas that I'm sorry, Lexi, but we've got to tell it because I just think it's fantastic. Christmas in your village, which is Civitella Messa Raimondo. So this is the local little bar, is it? This is just up the road from you, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, we walk there. We did actually last night, and I sent Dave a message at 7:00 and said, we're already at the bar. We'll have to talk tomorrow. So this is a sweet little Christmas tree that they quilted, but we had some friends from Oklahoma that were going to be in Rome for Christmas, and that was just like the jolt that we needed to be around someone, because we hadn't even really started to meet other folks in Italy, and then we were able to just hug on them because it was COVID and we knew them and we were vaccinated, but then to be in another town and explore. And so they rented an Airbnb right by the Trevi. Well, they said right by the Trevi fountain. So I got us a hotel, like literally right next to the fountain. They ended up being about 20 minutes away. So right there, that's right outside of our hotel. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now, the funny part of this story, and before we get to that, I just want to because Barbara's saying, what was the name of the shipping place again that you sent your items from? So sendmybag.com you used to send the smaller items, didn't you? And what was the name of the other company that you used?
Rainier, Ranier. Was the company.
So if anybody's watching from Rainier, then you owe us some advertising money. So
please bring me my items.
Or just do that. Yeah, one or the other.
That'll be fine.
You're not getting away with this one. The Trevi Fountain. I will never look at the Trevi Fountain. Yes. I will never look at the Trevi Fountain the same again after what you told me. So tell us the story.
It was really amazing because, on Christmas Eve, and there were restaurants open, in the area around the fountains and some of the more touristy areas in Rome. So met our friends for dinner, and then we just walked back and we hung out at the fountains at around midnight. And there's probably maybe 4 or 5 other couples there. So we kind of had the fountains to ourselves. It was really beautiful. And so we went to sleep. Next morning, wake up. It's raining. People have umbrellas.
We had the windows open.
We had the windows open, and it was just really loud, So I thought, well, okay, we'll go back to sleep and get up a few hours later and say, well, let's go out and do something. And Lexi said, no, it's raining. We can come back to Rome if we need to.
It was just
constant sound.
And I thought, my gosh. I brought an umbrella. I am not going and getting out there and getting drenched like a drowned rat. And let's just watch TV. And he was nice enough for about 2 hours. And then he finally turned to me and said, that's the fountain you're listening to, not the rain, right? And I didn't know that. And then I went, it's 3:00. Why have we been wasting the whole day?
That's usual communication breakdown between the two of us. And it was actually nice. Now, I think the sun maybe even come out because the buildings are so close together. It's still cloudy. So we got out and had a great time then after.
Fantastic story. But as you said, you're 2 hours away from Rome, so we can go anytime, can't we? We can go anytime we want.
Absolutely.
Brilliant story. Brilliant. Okay, so great question from Frank. In the entire process, is there one thing you would have done different?
I think Lexi had already mentioned that, and to the extent you can, I've moved a lot of times throughout the course of my life, and it's usually been from one side of Oklahoma City to a suburb or whatever, and you can do things and, trucks, pickup trucks. I mean, it's not a big deal. You forget something, you can go back. This is a major undertaking to go overseas. And And because of the situation with the cats and everything else, we had to get situated. We were I felt like we were on a dead run because we were when we got here, and there were just a lot of things to deal with. I would recommend, to the extent you can, take a day or two in Rome. Just if you have the ability to go check into a hotel, relax, take it easy, and then go do whatever signing. Get there enough time, obviously, so you can go through the signing process for the deed and everything before the notary. But give yourselves a little more time. We knew we were going to be jammed up, and circumstances kind of dictated it. But if we were to do it all over again, I think I would try to find some way to take a breather, once you land.
Yeah. I suppose bringing the cats over really, that made things a little bit different, didn't it? A little bit difficult, should I say? You couldn't have that time to unwind, could you? Obviously because of the cats. So it's good to hear you wouldn't change anything anyway. That's the main thing. Okay, so let's move on now. We've got settling into
IKEA. There's an IKEA that's an hour away, and we needed a bed because ours is still in Rotterdam. So that was a good.
I think Jeremy's there. He's got the boxes in his car and he's on his way over to you now, I think. So, So everyday life.
About 8 hours of Craig's life. Luckily, we didn't really fight. I just kept, bringing him more wine. Actually, he didn't have any wine till towards the end because, you have to read all those directions. But we bought some stuff from IKEA. And then we found a great local furniture store where we've ordered some items, but they have to be custom made. And we heard in about 3 weeks, we'll get our kitchen island and our leather sofa. So we're excited about that.
So obviously all life is all sort of wonderful and everything else, but then there was still paperwork to be done. Obviously you moved out here, there's lots of things, so I'm not going to take any credit, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I suppose I have to give some credit to my other half, otherwise I'll be in trouble. But no, obviously my wife Silvana, as you know, she looks after things once after sale, if you like, and you had to get back to business, didn't you? And what have you had to sort out, and what have you done in such a short amount of time?
Well, she has been so instrumental in taking care of things on this side of the Atlantic. We knew there were other things waiting for us, but we were so focused on the visa application process. And once we got the visa, thought touchdown, home run, whatever you want to call it. Well, that means you can get into the country, but you still have things you got to do once you're here. And you got to establish things like, for instance, getting a bank account. I mean, believe it or not, that's hard to do under normal circumstances because of U.S. banking rules. A lot of banks here simply don't want to mess with it when they're dealing with expats from the U.S. So you and Silvana were instrumental in getting us set up early on so that we had that ability to transact business. So that was kind of step number one. The permesso di soggiorno, that's a major process in its own right. And and we kind of had to go back and forth. First, you have to go to your local comune, your local village, and then they send you to the post office. That we had to go to another, the ufficio postale, where all kinds of utility bills are paid and everything. So we had to go there to get an appointment in Chieti with the police department, the Questura, to then apply for and get our permesso di soggiorno. So everything went smoothly. I mean, it really did, with Silvana's assistance and guidance on this. And we actually got our cards Tuesday, I believe. Mm-hmm. So, there's a picture.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that came through. Really, I mean, you did the run around. You went to a strange office in Karlsruhe as well, if I remember. Some different offices and all the rest.
It was.
But this was quick.
It was 10 steps to get there to this, but then you need this card to then become a resident, so we can get a green pass, like COVID international green pass, and buy a car instead of doing a long-term rental, and then setting up some of our utilities, and just that has to happen. And it's just, you have to buy a stamp at the tobacco store to then put on the package that you got from the post office to take to the police station to take back to it. There's just a process and a step. And so sometimes if that doesn't happen in 45 days, which a lot of times it doesn't, then you start over again. And so literally, I think we got ours on our 43rd day. So that was a huge relief. And then now
you can get moving. So it's even as you say, buying a car, because Coronel's saying, how did you solve your transportation issues since you cannot buy a car, which now you can, but you've rented, haven't you? You've been renting a car until then. So yeah, little bits of running around, which is the normal thing in Italy, but it is. I mean, you've got it, haven't you? It's all done and done and dusted, and I suppose I better say it again that I will give credit to Silvana that she knows what she's doing, and she'll rattle away on people's doors and get it done. So that's another big hurdle done, and on to the next. So
we've talked to our other expat friends that we've met online that have come before us, and they still don't have a bank account, or still having a hard time getting a bank account, or getting through the process to get their fingerprints for the permesso di soggiorno. And so I know without the two of you, we would be right where they are. And so it was thank you for accepting all of our WhatsApp call. Like, how does this work? And I think going back to your question about what would you change? This isn't really what I would change, but just starting to accept the Italian way, the piano. Yes, it's lovely when you take a nap in the afternoon, or you have a 2-hour lunch, and that's nice and slow, but also needing to understand that's the entire way of life. So that's the same way that the bank operates, that the post office operates, that the delivery. So if you want that to happen in your social life, then the sooner that you can realize that that's happening everywhere, the better off and less frustrated you will be.
Exactly. And that is, I mean, I the piano life, as we say, yeah, I mean, it is obviously when you want to get things done, it can be a little bit stressful. But you do get used to it after. I mean, I remember waiting for deliveries and thinking, oh my God, now if somebody tells me I'll deliver it on Wednesday, I don't get stressed out when it's Wednesday night and Thursday morning, because I'm not expecting it anyway. And to be fair, usually things are pretty quick, but and once you get used to that, once you accept that, as you say, life is good, isn't it? You don't have to be stressed out all the time waiting for things. So tell me, what's this all about? Not this, sorry. This is you eating as usual, a quick Dal Pagano restaurant that's just up the road from me. That's a Push Leonardo, a super restaurant. So what's this?
This is our hillbilly American food that we found at the Megalo, at the giant mall, at the grocery store. I started to see all of these silly little American, and we didn't even need them at the point, but I went, oh my gosh, we may never see Heinz ketchup again. Just grab it. So we have been eating like an Italian, but every once in a while you need a Diet Coke, or you need some Doritos. But they don't taste as good as Italian food does.
So I'm just going to quickly show people now just a little look at your house. We're going to do some more shots. I think this is a great shot of the cats sunbathing. This room is behind you now, isn't it? This is a fantastic.
Yes, it is. And so we've ordered some chairs and some light fixtures, and it's too dark to show you now, but we will be doing lots of entertaining out there.
Great. And then we'll just show a few shots. I'll let you explain where we are here and what we're looking at.
Yeah, the picture you showed earlier was looking to the east towards the Adriatic, and just a beautiful valley and orchards of olive trees and whatnot. Then we just do a 180-degree turn, and we're looking at the base of the Maiella Mountains. That's Mount Aquaviva, just off in the distance. It's probably, I still go by feet, it's over 9,000 feet up. It's just really amazing.
And these were yesterday, and there's no editing. The sky was literally that blue. Like, I didn't have to, if I knew how to edit, I'd take that line out, the electric line, but that's really what it looks like.
Yeah,
So
that's a shot from the balcony looking to the west of again the mountains, and that's just they're so majestic. The mountains here. I always talked about Colorado Rockies. You start at 8,000 feet. The peaks go up to 14,000. They're amazing. Well, the peaks here, go up to about 9,000 feet and start at close to sea level. So do the math. That's why they look so imposing.
yes,
That one picture, yeah, that's Chivitella.
There's
That's
our favorite little bar right over there.
yeah,
On the top of
that's
that.
somewhere there, isn't it? And this picture
Yeah.
here before you can actually see the sea from your house as well, can't you?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that's the sea in the as on Faulty Towers, as Basil Fawlty famously said, that's the sea between the land and the sky. So you can see that in the distance. A couple more pictures. So yeah, Civitella. I really love the 1 second. Where's my favorite ones? These night shots. These, especially this next one I'm going to show, which is this one. I love this picture.
Yeah.
That's Chivitella, and that was at Christmas time when they had the embankment there. I don't know when that was built. It's probably 1,000 years old, 900, something like that. But they had Christmas lights kind of outlining it, and it was just amazingly beautiful.
Yeah, it is. You really have got a special place, there. Once you're all finished and all ready, we're going to have to come and do because looking at these photographs, it still doesn't give it justice of what it's like there. So. But we'll definitely once you're all kitted out and all ready inside, then we'll come and do a webinar inside the house if we can.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah,
that'd be superb. So let's see what a few people. Edna is saying, I totally agree. They are so helpful in helping getting things done. I think that's talking about us as well. So that's a quick another advert for a home in Italy. Serena says, best piece of advice ever: piano, piano. I'll go with that as well. Laura said, I've heard that you only have a year to get your Italian driver's license, and the test is either in Italian or French. How are you feeling about that?
Oh, it's really great. It's also given in German, too. What it's not given in is English. It's like, obviously, we've got to move forward with it. The United States does not have a treaty with Italy when it comes to license reciprocity. I think even citizens of the UK were kind of running into that with Brexit, but I'm kind of getting the understanding that's getting worked out. But
I think so. Yeah, it's not happened yet, but yeah, hopefully. But yeah.
So from what I can tell, I think the questions are either multiple choice or true false. I've already got the book. In fact, it's
Amazon will deliver here.
Yeah, to start out, it's in English and in Italian. So we're kind of working on that, or I am anyway. I just started on it, and it's like, well, I'm just plowing through it and looking at the answers and what comes out of the code. And at the end of the day, it's kind of given me an incentive to continue to really work on my Italian, especially all things vehicle related. It's not a bad idea to know what all the road signs mean here. That's been helpful too.
I don't know what half of them mean, so that's a good. Once you know, let me know. Yeah, it is.
And it's kind of funny, and we'll be taking courses on it as well. And from what we've gathered from other expats, it's doable. That's just we're going to focus on it. I mean, that's all there is to it. I'm firmly convinced that we will pass it, or at least one of us will anyway. That first year, and we'll be okay. So, but that is on the horizon.
It is a multiple choice thing, so that does help a little bit. Okay. So, and also once you get registered and everything with Archie, the driving school, they give you a great app before that you can keep practicing and doing the like a mock exam, if you like, as we call it in the UK. But it's almost like doing the exam. You can just keep practicing, and they are the same questions that you'll get in the exam. So yeah, hopefully, I'm sure you'll be fine on that. Okay, guys. Well, we've been going an hour and 10 minutes. So a few people have said, beautiful. I would love to have a house like that. That's from Adina. Sarah is saying, why Abruzzo?
So part of that is Craig likes the sea, I like the sea. I like the sun, the sea, and he likes the mountains and cold or outdoorsy. And so specifically this house in particular, you can see from those two photos on the balcony, we can stand with our backs to each other and each be seen what inspires and motivates and encourages us. But other than that, just the food, the wine, the cost of living, frankly, the 7% tax benefit didn't hurt either. And then finding someone when we found you, I was calling you in the beginning, he's Mr. Abruzzo, and he can tell us everything about Abruzzo. And
I've been called a lot worse.
we didn't want to be in Rome or Milan or Florence or in a high rise. We wanted to have some land in our own property and be able to just really get involved in the community and experience traditional Italian life and culture. And so Abruzzo spoke to us in that way.
They've just
it just has so many things going for it, and I feel like it is just kind of a well-kept secret.
Right. Sorry, you paused for a second then. So you were saying you do feel like it is a best kept secret, which I agree with that. Darren and Sarah saying Dave even provides daily weather forecasts and road conditions. That's quite. These are it's a couple that's with us at the moment, and they were heading towards me, and I was ringing them and saying there's a bit of snow on this road, so don't go this way, and a little bit of So I've suddenly turned into a weatherman as well. Okay, so Edna is just saying, could you please provide the name of the driver license book you got?
Oh, it might be backwards.
L'esame per la patente di guida. I'll tell you what I will do, Edna, because you have my telephone number and WhatsApp. If you WhatsApp me, or Lexi, if you could take a picture of that and WhatsApp me, and I'll WhatsApp Edna, and because Edna's got a house, you can actually see. With binoculars, you will be able to actually see Edna's house from where you guys are. That she's the other side of the valley in Torricello. But yeah, so when she's out, Edna is hoping to come out. I think hopefully in the next month or so. So we'll hook you up, and that'll be great as well. Okay, Anna's saying, can you please say the name of the town again? So it's Civitella Messer Raimondo, where they are at the moment.
And it's tiny. Guys. I mean, we're 900 people. I think we're 900 and 901. It's you're not going to find the giant mall there, but it is a perfect place.
And we don't want to be honest, do we? We're happy with the way things are around here. We'll drive an hour if we want a mall. Okay, well,
we found this sweet little lady that makes pottery, and so she had one of these with Civitella Messer Raimondo in her shop, and so that's what it's all about, is finding the people that are here, that love it, that pour their heart and soul into it.
Yeah, no, it is. That's true. That's great. Well, guys, absolute pleasure again, and you're both fantastic people, and I can't wait for us to go to the great thing that Lexi actually done is found a Thai restaurant, which I cannot believe that it's me and my wife's most favorite food in the world, and we've been here 13 years and never found one. Lexi's been here 1 month and found one, and we're going there next week, so absolutely can't wait for that.
Yeah.
But no, you guys are brilliant. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you. I hate to say that because we're friends now, and so the client and relationship has disappeared. Thank you so much for joining, for sharing everything with us. We've got to have another one. We'll probably wait while spring, summer. We may even do an outside barbecue type webinar, just a bit of an update and everything else. But thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate you giving up your time. Really do. Okay, so I will see you. I'm going to turn your camera off and I'll finish with everybody else. And I will see you guys next week. And thanks so much again for sharing everything. And enjoy your wine. Enjoy your evening.
Yeah. Cheers.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye. Okay, guys, that's it. Great to speak to them. Well, what can you say? I'm feeling a bit emotional now, actually. No, it's super watching people go through all of that. It's not really been a long journey. It's been since June last year, but it does feel like a lot longer considering how much they've done. But yeah, it just shows things work out, doesn't it? they followed everything as you should do, and yeah, they're here. So all these things on Facebook, they say, no, it's impossible. It takes years. It does this. It does. It may do for some people, but that's not the reality of buying here and moving here. That I can almost guarantee you. All right then, guys. So a few people saying thank you, thanks you for all of you. Can't get my words out now. As usual, for joining us, we had a fantastic number in tonight. I really appreciate it. Next week, as I said, we'll be talking about restorations. The week after, we're going to be one called "This Is Italy," so that's going to tell you all the different things that are normal things here in Italy compared to possibly where you're going to live. So make sure you join the next webinars. I will send emails out as usual. New properties are going on the website tomorrow. I've been threatening to do them. We've been thankfully so busy, but tomorrow I'm putting new properties on, so you will hear from me with a new property link. And yeah, let's keep in touch. And I look forward to helping all of you find a place out here in this incredible place. Okay, thank you so much for your support again, and we'll see you next week.